the carriers. So this is really important because the business, as MJ said, has changed a lot. Our goal is to go from 1.3 million to 3 million a month. To do that, we can't, I can't say I'm going to sell 1 million more a month. It's got to come from you guys selling policies and growing a business, right? So that's how we do it. So it's important that everybody learns this stuff so we can all move on to the next level. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with final expense. Let me get into, okay, so I've kind of bookmarked. MJ, anything that you want to cover? Oops, hold on, I turned my camera off. I'm not like Mr. Technology. I'm pretty good at it, but so let's start. Can you guys see Americo? Okay, so let me just, somebody give me, Leanne, can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, we could see the miracles.
Okay, so let's talk final expense. Final expense is for people that are generally over 50 years old, although certainly people that are in their 40s. They've been seeing these commercials about how expensive it is. It's about $13,000 to get buried. But you got to factor in other things. If they have a mortgage, who's going to pay their mortgage? You can build in, let's say their mortgage is $2,000 a month, so you can build in another 6 months worth of mortgage payments, right? So 13,000 plus 12,000. So this is how you do final expense. And people just don't want to stick their kids or their grandkids with the cost of burying them. And when Francis and I were flying down to Austin, we came up with a new, we were laughing on the plane. We were just having fun. And we came up with this slogan. It's really bad. Life insurance, because you are going to die. So it's kind of morbid what we do, but it's the reality of what we do. And, I'll just lead off with this story. So I met with this attorney in Lebanon, and he had some health issues, but he was from Chicago. We really hit it off, and he wanted to have life insurance. So we got him a Mutual Omaha policy for $40,000. And on the 18th month, they rescinded it, because what they do before the 2-year period with life insurance, what you got to understand is after 2 years, 24 months, they have to pay the claim. But before 2 months, they can pull your medical record, they can review it, and they can rescind policies if there's something that doesn't match up with your health records. Well, in this case, they rescinded it. So I hopped in the car. He got the check. Hey, Neal, I got a check. What's going on? So I went back. I said, they rescinded it. They found something. So I ended up, he goes, can you get me anything? I said, well, let's try and apply with another carrier, which we did. And he got $30,000. And that was that. About 2 years later, I get a phone call from his beneficiary. She said, I cannot thank you enough for working with him and getting him this policy, because I never realized how important that money would be until he passed away, and I was responsible for all his final expenses. And that 30,000 allowed me to sleep at night. I knew I wasn't going to go into bankruptcy. And boy, it becomes very real when you get a call like that. And so I was just thrilled. We forget that, right? In the minutia details of running a business, we forget that. But at the end of the day, we're protecting families, because there's 2 disasters that take place. One, we lose a loved one. Number 2, if you don't have life insurance, you go bankrupt. Or you stick your kids with lifetime debt, which nobody wants. Okay, so you can build final expense with 2 carriers now. Never could do it before. Americo and Corebridge. Okay, so this is the Americo site. I'm going to put the link. It's not the shortest link, but it gets you right to the place you need to be. So let me put that in the chat. And as you guys have questions, whatever, we're going to do Q&A at the end, but feel free to put them in the chat and we'll address them as we go. But there's the direct link. Now, if you're getting contracted with Americo, one thing I didn't realize, when I get an email that I've been contracted, I was like, great, I'm contracted. I'd write down the number. I would never take the time to go to the site and register for the site. Got to do that. Number one. Number two, you got to call Leanne or text Leanne and give her your writing number, which is really super important. So why America? Okay, let me just give you, I'm going to give you bullet points. I want everybody to write these down. Number one, it's the easiest insurance to qualify for. Okay, because it's what they call simplified issue, which means they run you through the MIB and they give you an instant decision if they're going to reject you or accept you. All life insurance, as you guys know, has to have carrier approval. And that's why you got to be kind of you got to snuff out when people, what their health issues are. Okay. So that's number one. They're the easiest to qualify for. So why? Why do I say that? Here's why. All other insurance companies will ask you in the last 24 months, have you had a stroke, a heart attack, internal cancer, blah, 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 blah. America goes in the last 12 months, have you had a heart attack, stroke, or cancer? So what does that mean? That means that, let's say a guy had a stroke and he met with an insurance guy because he's freaked out 3 months after the stroke and he can't get insurance. So what happens? The agent writes him what's called a guaranteed issue. And we always use AIG, which is now Corebridge, for our guaranteed issue. And it's expensive. It's like twice as expensive as day one coverage, right? Day one coverage, if you die the next day, you get paid the full amount, $30,000. With a graded policy, all they do is return the premiums you've paid in for how many months you paid it in, plus they give you 10% on what you paid. So if you paid in 1,000 and it's the 22nd month, you're going to get the $1,000 back plus 10%. They're going to send you $1,100, but you're not going to get the 30,000. So now you come along 13 months, Taylor, you go see this guy or you talk to him on the phone. It's now 13 months since he had a stroke. And he goes, well, I got a policy already. And you say, well, is it a guaranteed issue? And he's like, I have no idea. And you explain what a guaranteed issue is. And you say, I have a carrier that will only ask the question, have you had a stroke in the last 12 months? Yours has been 13 months. I can get you a policy that if it's 30,000 and you die tomorrow, it pays you 30,000. Right now, you're only going to get back what you paid in. And that's the difference between day one coverage and a graded policy. Grading is a 2-year period that you've got to live. Okay. And so what you're going to find, you can replace a lot of policies that are guaranteed issues. Felipe, you just did that, right?
Yeah, the guy didn't. Yeah, he kept asking. He asked me like 20 times if this was day one coverage just because he couldn't believe it, and we were getting him approved.
See, so Felipe's already done it. So anyways, that number one, it's the easiest to qualify for. Number two, they have the best remote signing feature on the planet. And so the remote signing is that when you're sitting in Las Vegas, you're writing a policy in Missouri. You know how you sign into anything and you get two-step verification? It sends you a number and you got to enter it in. That's exactly how it works with Americo. You send them a text. Most people know about the system because everything has gone to two-step verification, right? Everybody has it. So a senior knows how to get text messages, but so many seniors say to me, hold on, I'm getting text messages here. So many seniors say to me, yeah, I do have an email. I haven't been on it in 3 years. Okay. I don't know if any of you ever got that, but they get text messages. So this text messaging for the signature, for the banking and then for the MIB is super sweet and it's fast. So that's number two. So number one, easiest to qualify for. Number two, remote signing feature is the best. Number three is it's the cheapest final expense that we have. Now, for you guys that have been around for a while, you know that Mutual Omaha is who you always wrote with. They were the cheapest by far. I mean, America was 20 to 30% more. So Sean, Mike, and the team went to him and said, look, you know, we do a lot of business with you. We submitted 9,100 applications in 1 week. You need to lower your price on final expense. So they made it on a 50-year-old. They made it about $1 a month cheaper than Mutual Omaha's Living Promise. So if I have somebody that's been in the business for a long time, I tell them that, they're like, what? Really? Because they're still writing Mutual Omaha. So, and Mutual Americo pays more commission. They don't have the name like Mutual Omaha, but they got an easier signing system. So you can complete the policy process easier. Number 4, they have a quit smoking incentive. So let's say Mark Tuckey is just sucking down cigarettes like a frickin' chimney, but he wants to quit. But he wants to quit. He wants to really quit. And so what Americo does, they'll give you 3 years to quit. And then after the 3rd year, they send you a swab and you swab your mouth. And then what happens is, as long as there's no nicotine, and you sign a little statement saying that you haven't smoked in 12 months, they'll continue the pricing of the non-smoking rate. So it's just a really good thing to just get to people. They want to quit smoking. It's called the quit smoking incentive. Okay. So that's number 4. Number 5, just to give you an overview, they do as young as 40 years old and as old as 85. Now, I want to tell you something. And thank you, MJ, for sending those brochures. I was all over those things. I'm like, yes, I'm actually going to read the brochure. But what happened when COVID hit, um, everybody pulled back their ages from 85 to 80, and you couldn't get anybody that would insure somebody that was over 80. But America goes to 85 now. They go up to 40,000, and the minimum is a $5,000 policy. So MJ, maybe you can jump on and answer that last question, which was how much would you make on a $70 premium? Um, well, I can probably answer. I'll just do a ballpark. So the way you figure your comp is let's say you're 100%. So you take 70 times 12 is $840. You're gonna, let's say 100% will pay 105%. So that's 1260. They're gonna advance 75%. So you're gonna get paid about 945 bucks on a $70 a month premium.
But they'll advance. Did you do the advance?
I did 75%, yeah. So you take you annualize the premium at 100%, you're at, I think, a 105. So you multiply it by 1.05. That gives you the total. You multiply it by 75% advance, and that's what you're going to get paid. And then the other nice thing, of course, about Americo is they pay like the day after the premium is paid. So, you know, you're talking about companies that are out there like Colonial Penn, Mutual Omaha does direct mail to a lot of clients, Lumico, all those are guaranteed issues. So you really have to dig in. You know, I call Jaden, hey, Jaden, oh, hey, Neal, I already took care of that. Well, perfect. That's why I'm calling. So I don't want people to keep calling you. So who did you end up going with? I went with Colonial Penn because it's only $9.99 a unit and my price will never go up. Perfect. Okay. So did you know that that's a graded policy? Did they explain what that is? No, I don't know what that is. Well, graded means that, you know, and then you just go through the thing. So
well, and Neal, and also those are adjustable renewable. That's
yeah,
why you asked to see we've replaced so many of those because people don't understand that when they hit 70, 75, 80, that little $100, $80, $50 a month policy, they jump it to $300 or $400 a month. They
yeah,
say it's level. So the point is always say, great, like Neal said, that's why we're calling. Grab your policy. Let me make sure the last thing you want is an ARM. And let's make sure you didn't get adjustable renewable. And all of a sudden, now you know something they don't.
yeah,
And you're helping them because nothing's worse than somebody having a policy for 20 or 30 years and they have to cancel it because they can't afford it just about the time they need it.
yeah, right.
That's how we help.
Yeah. So here's Americo. So just so you know, so that I put the link in, we sign in, and then all the way down at but there's probably a faster way to get here, but all the way down at the bottom are your agent tools. And this is where you actually write the policies. And so they have a very easy system. And you might say, hey, I'm doing IULs. Why do I care about final expense? Because you're going to have some clients that can't qualify for an IUL. And instead of just saying, sorry, you can finesse them over to a whole life policy. So this is an arena you're going to end up in, whether you want to or not. And some of these really fast growing groups, are a bunch of 20 and 30-year-olds selling 1 to 3 policies a day and making 40 or 50,000 a month. So there's amazing money in it. Okay. So that is Americo. And so if you're contracted with Americo, go on the site, click the link, play around with it. They have a Illustrator where you can actually go through an app without really writing an app, which is really great. Okay. So any questions before I move on to Corebridge? Yeah, Alex, you got your hand raised.
Yes, hi. Hi, Neal.
Hey, Alex.
Hi, I'm sorry I was a little bit late. I'm not sure if you touched on leads, how you
No.
guys.
Yeah, so what I said at the beginning is that we're going to do carriers this week and we're going to do leads next week. Because I have one lead vendor I got to meet with and he couldn't meet till tomorrow morning. And so part of the lead program is a lot of guys will jump on Facebook and everything sounds good on Facebook and the ads sound spectacular. And so they jump into a carrier, a lead vendor. And we've used most of the lead vendors. And so we don't get a chance to talk with you. And, we've had crazy situations where people have spent $6,000 on 100 leads, gotten way overbilled, and we could have told them what the price should be. So we're going to do that next week. So you haven't missed anything. Okay.
Okay, next week, same day, same time?
Yep. Every week we do it. And we're in the middle of the boot camp. And so last week we started with attitudes and expectations. And so what I'm going to also do here, as an added bonus, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the link to the weekly meetings. And this is the one that we did, attitude and expectations. And so let me just, I'll just put this folder in here and you guys can jump in and just, this business, what you got to do is you got to really be hungry. Let's see, you get advanced 75%, but eventually you get the full. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out, Ted. Yeah, they advance 75% and that's 9-month advance. And then they put the other 25% in month 10, 11, and 12. They just want to make sure the policy stays on the books. So, okay, so that is, so let's say you go to Americo and you go through Americo, you run them through and you can't get them approved. So what we do is we call it a pivot. You're cool as a cucumber, even though you can feel as a new person, your face turning red. Oh my gosh, you got denied. I don't say that. I go, okay, well, Americo is not going to underwrite you because of certain health issues. So not to panic. We're going to jump over to Corebridge, which used to be AIG. They're a great provider, and you log in. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get the 2-step verification here. Oh, you know what? I should have, here, let me do this. I want to put that link because, one of the things that I found when I started is I had all these browsers open and I was afraid to close them because I was afraid I'd never find the website again. And I don't know if you guys have ever had that, but I sure have. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting all these links in the chat and then you can go ahead and click on them and then bookmark them. Okay, so here's your Corebridge. I wish somebody had done it for me. You know how I started? Let me tell you how MJ and I started. We went to a conference before we were even licensed, and then we got licensed, and then they got us some leads, and they sent us a script, and they said, start dialing. And we didn't know how to dial. We had read the script. And every time I used a lead, I was like, dang, that's one less lead. Now I only got 19. And then I would wait and not call because I was afraid I'd burn through all my leads. So it was so nerve-wracking. And then I went online and I found Trey Honeycutt, who was actually live dialing. And that was very helpful for me to listen to somebody else live dial. Well, now we have live dialing places that you can go every day and you can listen in on how people are dialing. And MJ, I don't know if you have, or you can look for that link to the one that Trey Honeycutt sent to us that we sent the guys to the other day. Do you have that link, or does anybody?
Neal, what are you talking about?
So Trey Honeycutt sent us a live dialing link for final expense and term insurance.
Oh, I only know the FFL.TV.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. It's the dialteam.fflall.com. So let me put, so if you're in the middle of the day and you got a couple of hours and you want to listen to how dialing is done, you go to the dialteam.fflall.com. And this is just a group in FFL. Everybody's welcome. And you can just go there. So you might have to copy and paste it. But anyways, that's really a great place to hear people actually that are talking to clients. And that's how you learn. So, so anyways, let's get back to Corebridge. So Corebridge, formerly AIG, if you've been in the business for a while, you don't know what Corebridge is, but you know what AIG is. They have two products, SIWL, which is simplified issue, which means instant decision whole life. And then they have guaranteed issue whole life. So I'll never forget our first two appointments were two people in a trailer. They were both sick as anything. And we were so excited. The only question the guaranteed issue whole life asks is, Jerry, are you terminally ill? When you answer that, no, they approve you. But it's a guaranteed issue. But some people, you can't get them anything other than that. They had a stroke, they had a heart attack last week, and it scared the bejesus out of them. And now they don't have any life insurance and they want it. Well, no one's going to insure them. So the reason we do GIWL, number one, is they take everyone as long as you're not terminally ill. And number two is they're the least expensive guaranteed issue that we can find. Okay, so you always go there. You don't write a guaranteed issue with Americo. It's 3 times more expensive than AIG. So if we go here, there are 3 price points. And this is what we love about this. I don't think I did this right. This is not. There are 3 price points. Oh, here, yeah, features and programs. Start the app. That's what it said. Start the app. That's what I want. Rate sheet, final expense overview. That's not what it's cracked up to be. Okay, so here we go. This is where I wanted to be. So the reason that we like this as a pivot is that all you do is you pick your state. Let's say Alabama is a male, age 65, and terminal illness rider, nursing home confinement rider. Now, when you do this, it's going to give you 3 prices or 3 choices. Number one, you can get the simplified issue whole life, which covers breast cancer. So you come across a lot of women that have breast cancer, and they'll actually do a day 1 coverage on that. If they're sick and they can't get day 1 coverage, it gives you a graded policy, which isn't 3 times the price of a day 1 coverage. It's a little bit more. And then if they can't get that, then it pivots down to a guaranteed issue. So simplified issue, graded version of the simplified issue, and then the guaranteed issue. So literally with 2 carriers, you can write every client that you work with and get them a policy. So does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? Did I confuse anybody? Let me see what's in the chat here.
Hey, Neal,
Yeah.
didn't Americo stop doing the guaranteed issue?
Oh, they could have. They
Okay.
could have. Yeah, and Felipe, I know that Ethos has a guaranteed issue, but you know, I'm trying to keep this really simple on the like if someone's gonna run final expense, I want them to learn two carriers and get really good at those two carriers, and they can write anybody on that. Ethos is more on the IUL side, although it's pretty easy. What does Legacy Max mean? I have no idea. Where do you see Legacy Max? Oh, right here, Legacy Max. Yeah. Well, that must be the name of their product. Although over here it says Simply Now.
Yeah, that Simply Now means the simplified issue. Simply Now means it goes immediate coverage or it goes to graded. If they cannot, if they can't get immediate coverage or graded, then you have to close that down and go to the guaranteed issue application. And whoever asked, does Americo do guaranteed anymore? They call it guaranteed. It's not. It's a graded product. They do not have one.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, so can you guys see this SIWL GIWL page I'm on? Jerry, can you? Okay, thank you, Jerry. So I didn't scroll down enough. So this is how you start an app. You just, it brings up your agent code. I mean, it's super simple. Like literally, we would do guaranteed issue apps in 5 minutes and get out of the house and then start a new case. And, you know, when you get down here, you pick your state and then the type of product. So we're going to start with whole life. And we're going to always start with the simplified issue. Unless they've just told us that they had a stroke, then you're going to do the guaranteed. So just remember, simplified issue, whole life. We'll have two prices. And then the guaranteed issue is just one price. Make sense? So you guys have that link. Just get on there and play with it. I didn't have anybody doing an overview for me like this. I just struggled until I figured it out. Okay. So you're going to struggle and I'm going to love it. No, I'm just kidding. So we struggled. There's no reason why you shouldn't. But we're just trying to make it a little easier. So this is a lot easier, Jaden, than getting on a plane when you're afraid to fly. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Can I ask the Americo question, Neal?
Yeah, shoot.
When you have the Eagle 1, 2, and 3, when you're writing an Eagle 1 policy and you get down to where they're going to be qualified or not, and the screen pops up and says they make the offer. Is that still simplified the issue when they make that offer?
Yes. Yeah, it is. So I haven't written one honestly in a while, Jerry, but the way I recall is that you would, there's two checks. They do a prescription check about, you put all their information in and then they, you text them the signature and then they go up and they check the prescriptions. And they come back and give you an initial reading. It looks like the client will, could possibly qualify based on the prescription check, and then you go through the questions, and as long as all the questions are answered no, then it'll get approved.
Yeah, it said that it was approved on Monday, but I haven't heard anything from Americo yet.
Oh, so you called, you were the one that taught us that system. If you're trying to get your Americo and you're trying to get recontracted and it's taking forever, then
I
what?
already got recontracted.
Perfect.
Yeah, and wrote that policy Monday, but that page popped up and the price went up quite a bit on the client from Eagle 1, Where we started, and it popped up with about $100 more a month.
Oh, really? So that definitely went graded.
You think so?
I do. Yeah, for sure.
So I should sort of get a hold of him and do Core Bridge
Yeah, when was the draft date?
and approval.
At approval?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would probably get on the phone and call them tomorrow.
Call
America.
Americo.
Yeah, and if you have a number, just ask them, hey, what's the status of this?
Okay.
Because chances are it did go graded. And
Okay.
we usually don't do
No,
do Americo graded because it's so expensive.
that's right.
Yeah. So
Caught me off guard.
Jerry, get on Corebridge and price out simplified issue whole life on Corebridge and look at the graded price.
Okay.
You can do that on your own.
yeah, but
Yeah.
Mary Jo, it was going to be drafted upon approval.
The point is, at least he knows what the price would be before he calls Americo and the customer.
Right. Yeah, you can let me see something. Let me go let me check something here real quick.
That's why if they ask you, that's their code. Do you still want us to give you a quote? That means they're not getting level, it's going graded. That's code. So you can pivot and go to Corebridge, simplified issue, and see they're graded before you submit a policy.
Okay. Been a while. Caught me off
Yeah,
guard.
no, hey, you're good, Jerry. Don't
It's
worry
all
about it.
changed. Don't worry about it. That's why we're having this meeting.
Yeah. So yeah, get on the phone with Corbett or with Americo and make sure, just see what the status is. If you have a policy number or something, call them and see what the status is. Because that may be, that may be a problem. Clients get kind of upset. So, all right, guys, we got to pivot here and keep moving. So, now let's go to, now we're going to jump over to the IUL side. And so our go-to for IULs is National Life Group. We love National Life Group for a couple of reasons. Number one, they were established in 1848, and not many companies have been around that long. Number two, they're the third oldest mutual company on the planet, or at least in America. Oops. So what does that mean? That means that they've had clients, well, a mutual company, the policyholders own the company, whereas a public company, the shareholders own the company. So if you know anything about the stock market, public companies want to drive shareholder prices up as high as they can, and they tend to be a little stingier with their interest crediting, where a mutual company, their first obligation is to the policyholders. They tend to be less stingy. Okay. National Life Group has had clients, their first death claim was the Great California Gold Rush, and that was from 1845 to 1848 to 1855. And they had a guy from Philadelphia who went to seek his fortune out in California, and he died, and they had to borrow the money from the bank to pay the claim. And because if they didn't, they knew they were done. They've had clients on the Titanic, on the Hindenburg. I know one time, George Steinbrenner, I think it was George Steinbrenner that Devin told me that had a National Life Group policy. People like Sylvester Stallone, Sandra Bullock, a lot of famous people have National Life Group IULs. And so the reason we really like them for IULs is because they're so easy to do an illustration. So you go to the site, which is just National Life Group here. Let me make sure I got that right. I'm going to put this in the chat just so you have it. There we go. There's National Life Group's homepage. Okay, let's go in here. Okay, so super easy to do an illustration. And we're not gonna, spend tons of time on an illustration, but literally you pick the state. We use Flex Life. Let's say he's 45. Literally, this is how easy it is. You do min max. They're going to pay it monthly. They're going to specify an amount. Let's say they're going to put in $400 a month. And they're going to do it from year 1 through age 67. 67's full retirement. And now you're just sitting here showing them how much insurance they get, the fact that it'll cover them even after they stop paying. And this is the technology that makes this company so great. And then when you finish running this, you save it, this button turns green and you write the policy. So National Life Group, 2 things. Number 1, we use them for premiums of $300 or more. Number 1. Number 2, they have the best pricing. Somebody asked me the other day, what's wrong with I can't remember who said this. What's wrong with National Life Group's term? I said, nothing. Why? And they go, because it's so cheap. I said, yeah, because it's not simplified issue. So it's 30% lower than a term policy from America or Mutual or anybody else. So one of the things that Monica taught me is that if someone wants, let's say somebody has $750,000 in debt. Oop, my camera went off. Sorry about that. And hold on. Let me stop this share real quick and find my camera. So let's say somebody has $750,000 in debt, and they want to put up $400 a month in an IUL. So when we look at that illustration, that only gives them $218,000 in life insurance. So what you do, you write a supplemental policy for term insurance to make up the difference, a $500,000 term policy. So you write 2, one for the IUL, one for the term. The term is a $500,000, so the living benefits are a lot greater. And if they ever get injured, heart attack, stroke, break their back, can't move, that kind of thing, get entered in a nursing home, you use the living benefits from the term policy and you keep the IUL. Because the IUL is going to continue until end of life, where the term policy is going to eventually term out. And I thought, wow, that is a great strategy. So, we're just talking about carriers. We're not doing illustrations. So carrier-wise, it's a go-to $300 or more. Now, what if you have somebody that only wants to put up $150? Then we pivot to Americo. Why? Because Americo is the easiest company to qualify for, and they have instant decision. And here's the philosophy. If someone's only putting $100 to $150 a month, they're probably uninsured and they want insurance. And this is just a really easy way to get them insurance, which is the Americo IUL. And again, so what are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to make this simple. Final expense, 2 carriers. Americo, Corebridge. IUL, 2 carriers. National Life Group, for people that are doing over $300 a month and under $300 a month, they just want life insurance, Americo. Trying to keep it simple, right? And that's with 4 carriers, you can literally, you can make Hall of Fame with 4 carriers. So this is the site, and I'm going to put this in the chat. So, for us guys who have been around for a while, it's like, well, we can do all these carriers, but for the brand new person that we're trying to teach how to write life insurance, believe me, they appreciate 4 carriers, because it's a lot to learn. It wasn't so long ago when we were trying to find our way. So here's the Americo. Let's see how much. Okay, Don. How much commission on a $400 per month premium IUL? Okay. Okay. Neal Brown, protecting wealth. Don, you crack me up. I can actually answer that really quick. So let me show you. So when you write a policy, right down here is something called the target premium. The target premium is the actual commission generated from that sale. So what you got to do, let's say it's $36.65 on this this policy, this $400 a month. So what you're going to do, you're going to take $36.65. Let's say you're at a 70% comp rate with National Life Group, right? Because you've got your FFL comp rate, and then each carrier has a comp rate equivalent to that percentage at FFL, and each product has a different comp rate based on the product. So the one problem with National Life Group is that it's like the lowest commission IUL company that we have, but their technology is so good, it makes up for it. So if you're at a 70%, that would be a commissionable sale of $2,565. Now, and they're going to pay it out 75% up front, and they're going to pay 25% in month 9, 10, 11. Now, what about 1,000? If we do the same thing, as the insurance goes up, your commission goes up. So the target premium on this one would be $9,341.27. And so if you're at 100%, that's a 70 comp rate. So 9,341 times 70% would be 65.38. So this is why people love IULs. It's good for the client. It's good for the carrier. It's good for the agent. Make sense? Okay. I love a guy that's motivated by protecting families and commissions. So then there's a wild card in here that Felipe had mentioned, and that is ethos. I got to tell you, I'm not real partial to ethos. It's an easy policy to write, but I get a lot of chargebacks on ethos. But ethos also has an IUL. Pretty easy to write. And it's pretty quick to write. So you got to go through the two-step verification, but most of you guys are contracted with ethos. So let me put that in the chat so you have the link. So just keeping it as simple as possible. If I were starting again, I would love someone to have explained that I could do final expense and term. I could do final expense with two carriers, Americo and Corebridge. I could do IULs with two carriers, which would be National Life Group and Americo. And I could do my term insurance with National Life Group because nobody beats National Life Group. Nobody. Unless it's a total blood and urine, like let's take Northwestern Mutual. They send a nurse out 100% of the time, no living benefits, nothing but cheap term insurance. So we can compete with anybody when it comes to term. And the way I learned this is I was writing Americo term insurance for mortgage protection, and I was running out of Murfreesboro, and I kept getting policies replaced. And finally, I went to see a client, and I said, "Who replaced it?" They said, "National Life Group." They had about a third better pricing than yours, and they had better living benefits. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm down for that." So I learned a really great lesson that day, which was get contracted with National Life Group. So now, some people, there's issues. Maybe they have already been writing with another IMO, and they were doing National Life Group, and they can't do National Life Group for 6 months because of the carrier rules that say that you have to be inactive with a carrier for 6 months before you can recontract with them. So in that case, we go to F&G. Fidelity, and I forget what the G stands for, but they
Guarantee.
what is it? Guarantee?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me put this link in here. Now, I'm just admit that it's a cumbersome application to work through. Nothing easy about it. We've been asking them to simplify it for us, but so there's the link in the chat. But they do have a very competitive product. It illustrates great. It's just going to take you a couple of times to learn how to do an illustration, but it does pay 20% more commission than National Life Group. And so that's why some guys write it. So within FFL, you have some people like us that are really loyal and we love National Life Group. There's other people that write F&G because they want the 20% more commission. So that's really, your decision. But when you're in here, you go to sales tools, illustration. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we did a really good overview. Francis actually did it, doing actual illustrations on IULs, and F&G is in there, so I'm not going to go over that whole thing. But I'll tell you what, I'll put the link in here to that particular program that we did. So why don't we do this? While I'm looking for this, if there's any questions, just why don't you guys unmute and then just ask them. Let's see, illustrations, here it is.
Neal, on final expense, Americo still offers, as a free rider, accidental death equaling the value of the final expense policy and living benefits. Is that correct? And does Mutual of Omaha offer the same?
So to answer your question, this was really confusing to me when I started, and I called every carrier and they said, Neal, whatever the face amount is, that covers death, whether it's accidental or not, everyone does. The riders that you click is just to add more accidental death to the policy. Okay, number two is the living benefits aren't like an IUL where they're terminal, chronic, critical, and critical illness and injury. They're usually terminal only. Okay, so they don't have the whole life in general, doesn't have the wide variety of living benefits like the other one does. Mutual Omaha, I don't know. I don't care, because the only reason that we used to write Mutual is because it was the cheap it was a cheap whole life. It's not the case anymore. So really, there's no reason to even write Mutual Omaha unless you have a smoker who's committed and they're just telling you, Ted, I ain't quitting smoking. So they tend to have the cheapest smoking rates out there. But that's really the only, and the children's policies are pretty good. But in general, and I'm sure they have the exact same living benefits on their living promise, as they call it. But, Mutual's also the company that mails direct mail out to your clients, and you walk into houses and they go, yeah, I got a Mutual Omaha, I got it direct from the company. Guaranteed issue, replace it. But it's cheap, and that's why they do that, which never sat well with me. I just thought they're direct soliciting our clients. So anyways, but I don't write much Mutual anymore. I mean, even
but the direct mail to your clients tend to be guaranteed issue, right?
they're all guaranteed issue. Yeah, when they're direct mail. Good question. I love going into homes where somebody bought something through direct mail or talking to them on the phone, because it's all guaranteed issue and they have no clue. So we get an opportunity to educate them on that. So good question, Ted. Appreciate it. So we covered a lot of ground, but it was basic stuff. It's just like, this is like a new agent orientation where we're just trying to cover the basics, but we got a lot of new people on here. Devin and Matthew and Jaden and Taylor, Brian, for the most part, Stephen, although some of you guys may have been in the business before. So, you know, this was just kind of a refresher course on Insurance 101. So anyways, God, we got a lot of people. Daryl's on here. Monica's on here. Ed Keaton. I know Don's on here. Don's got the commission. I'm going to send you, Don, did I send you a commission? Like
Yes,
for all
you
the
did.
carriers?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it's just the formula. You take your FFL comp rate, then you go to that carrier and you just go across, find the carrier, and it'll give you that comp rate. And then whatever your annual premium is, you multiply it by that comp rate, and that gives you your commissionable sale. And then they're going to advance 75% of that to you and pay 25% on the backside.
By the way, I did get appointed with Americo today.
Nice. Did you use the Jerry Francis technique where, you know, getting reappointed with America, we had no idea how long that takes, 10 working days. So Jerry's like, well, I just,
Longer than
what's
long-
that? Yeah, when you're brand new and you're getting contracted and you've never been contracted, it's a day. But when you're recontracted, it's 10 working days. So what Jerry did, he calls up and he goes, because he really did, it was true. Hey, I got a client I got to write next week. And he called and they said, sorry, it's 10 days. So then he called back and he said, you don't understand, I got a client I got to write. So they jumped through some hoops, sent him something, and he got contracted.
Neal, I did it a little differently. I got a letter from America saying I hadn't written enough policies. And so I called Lindsay, our account rep, said I was best buddies with you. And she
said, who's Neal?
no, she said, if you get to work, I'll put you on right now.
Oh, nice.
And her number is 816-762-9059.
Yeah, she's our account manager. My camera is acting up here. Hold on a sec. So yes, and there's a question here about, can I get a copy of tonight's? And as soon as it renders, what I do is I get a link to Leanne, and then Leanne will send it out to everybody. So we'll make sure that you guys get that. Okay. But yeah, and it is worth watching a couple of times, because each time, you know, your brain's a funny thing. Once it gets some basic information, it opens up, and then you hear all new information that you never heard before. And it was all there. It's just that it's a process of taking it in. So we'll get that out to you. 8:05. Okay, guys. So we've run a little bit late. Next week, we're going to cover leads, how to call leads, and the attitude you have to have for leads. And I'm just going to say this, you know, we're going through a torture test right now with a bunch of guys and some second chance leads. And there's nothing fun about calling second chance leads. You call and you call and you grind and you grind. And maybe you talk to some people and you book an appointment, they don't show up. But you got to go through that process in order to get good enough and refine your skills and get used to talking to people. So when you get new leads, you're not learning for the first time and burning through $25 leads like most people drive through McDonald's. You know what I mean? Because it gets expensive and it keeps you up at night. So it's a process in just honing your skills. So Preston, I appreciate all your dialing. You're leading the way with Felipe and Danny, and it's just really, really good to see everybody kind of grinding. And then next week, we're going to unveil some strategies I think you'll be pretty excited about. So anyways, we'll be in tomorrow. If you guys local are going to be in here, Jaden, we're starting spring training tomorrow, buddy. We're going to get you to be a top producer. So
Sounds good to me.
all right. So Yeah, Eric will be dragging because he's a bartender downtown, but and I know today um, we just had some really good meetings and we did some really good things. So we're very excited about what's going to happen over the next 90 days. But the point is we want to get each and every one of you to 10,000 a month. That's just a magic number. It's training like this and it's one-on-one training. It's getting on those live dials and listening to how people do things. So you can learn from people who are actually in the trenches. So, like tomorrow, we do have a live dialing that we'll send out with this copy of the recording. You can listen to the guys calling second chance leads, and you're going to get on there, and no one's going to be saying anything. You're going to be like, "What's wrong?" Well, they only unmute when they talk to somebody, so you don't need to listen to them dialing their phone. What you want to do is listen to them talking. So we'll send that link out also. Okay.
What time is it tomorrow? Neal?
It depends. Are you working tonight or are you off tomorrow? Is this Felipe? Well, we'll, just jump on at different times. And if there's people on there, then you can listen to them. Everybody jumps on at different times. So I
Is
can't
that
really,
is that link that you put it in the comments?
I don't have the link with me. Here, hold on. I'll get it. Links. So there's two live dials. If you want to hear how you do IUL sales, then this is the link to that. And if you want to hear how you do final expense and term insurance, I already posted that one. Okay, let me put this in the chat. So here's the dial room. You click on that, and then you put in the passcode Nashville, small n, and you can go in and listen to Preston and Felipe and Danny and some of the more experienced dialers. And literally that's how you really learn your craft, is by listening to other people. Make sense? All right, Leanne, we're recording this. You with that hat is going to last forever. I love it.
Did you post? I'm sorry, I don't see it in the chat.
Right there. There you go. Thanks. I didn't.
Thank you.
You guys got all the links tonight. So what I'll do, I'm going to stop the recording. If there's any